Guys, the title is a joke. I love Twilight. That being said, I was not expecting Velvet to be this good. Velvet was written by Temple West, and the origin of this story is actually really interesting. One of her roommates in college loved Twilight, which gave her the idea to create the perfect vampire story that addressed all of her problems with the previous vampire stories she'd read. That is honestly so relatable. Anyway, the story follows Caitlin, a high school student who just moved in with her aunt and uncle after her mother's death. Almost immediately after arriving in Stony Creek, she becomes the target of a powerful demon. The demon's son, part vampire, pretends to date her to cover up the fact that he's actually her bodyguard. Things get complicated, however, when Caitlin starts to catch feelings for him. I love how Caitlin is written. I've read too many books where the main character is supposed to be a teenager, but doesn't read like one. Caitlin's emotional, she's argumentative, she gets drunk at a party like an idiot. Yeah, I never once doubted that this was from the mind of a teenager. Her bodyguard, Adrian, is also interesting. He's stuck in an awful position where he's forbidden to form attachments to a human, but is forced to spend so much time with one. Even if Caitlin isn't quite clocking his struggle, the reader does. By far the best character, at least for me, was his younger brother, Lucen. This is the most precious book character I have found in quite a while. He was raised by their father in a place the characters can only compare to as hell before he was rescued by the rest of his family. He wears big aviation goggles to protect his eyes from the light, he has no concept of social cues, and he loves stories and dreams. His friendship with Caitlin is really sweet, and I love how she kind of becomes a mother to him, teaching him about humans and making sure to include him in her Christmas gifts. He also plays a very big part in the last half of the book, and especially in the climax. Honestly, thank goodness there's a sequel to this, because if the way things ended with him was really the ending, I would have lost my mind. Honestly, even if I didn't care for the rest of the book, I would have read the next one just for him. That is how much I adored him. Funny enough, aside from the fact that they exist and a brief bit of history, the vampire thing kind of takes a back seat for most of the story. What they do have is interesting, though. Vampires are born, not made, and their mothers always die in childbirth. Their government was founded by a midwife who cared for them after their mothers died, which now continues her mission to rescue young vampires before they are discovered. These vampires do drink blood, but they're a lot more similar to emotional vampires than traditional vampires, which was a nice change. I also really enjoyed how central hypnotism was to the plot. Granted, the only other vampire story I've read is Twilight, but it feels like hypnotism is such a huge part of vampire lore that barely ever gets used. All things considered, I don't think I had any problems with this book. I spent most of it thinking it was a solo story, everything was so well rounded together. Towards the end, there were some things I wished were expanded on more, but I'm pretty sure they will be explored more in the next book. What I do want is more vampire stuff. With the ending we got, I expect that we will learn more about the council and about the father's origin. Yeah, I just have to say father, we don't know his name, his family refuses to say. But anyway, the father knows something about Caitlin that no one else does. There's even a point in the story where he asks Adrian if he hasn't realized what she is yet. Honestly, don't know what to think about that, but I do look forward to finding out. So I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I did not expect to enjoy Velvet this much, but I could not put it down. Sadly, my library did not have a sequel, but I ended up getting it for Christmas, so I should be reviewing it soon. As always, if you have read this, I encourage you to comment down below and start a discussion. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, let me know what you'd like me to review next, and I'll see you in the next one.